Hey there, welcome back to Liz and Sandro's Marketing Podcast. We're the podcast that helps companies and marketing departments control their business, their brand, and get the word out. We are coming back to you today via Zoom, and Sandro is going to be talking about canonical links. He's going to explain what they are and why they matter.
Thanks, Liz. Yes, so this will be a short episode, but I thought canonical links were important enough to discuss by themselves here and discuss what they are and, like Liz said, why they're so important. So basically, every web page you think has one URL, or every website has one URL. So let's discuss Hirsch PR. Is that all right? HirschPR.com?
Do it. Yes. I will fully admit that my site needs a little bit of cleanup. I'm the shoemaker's children over here.
No shoes for you.
Yeah.
So, let's say HirschPR.com, right? You punch that into your web browser and boom, you are at your website. So keep in mind, as we've talked about in the past, there are 4 versions of your site. The www.hirschpr.com version and the non-www.hirschpr.com version. In addition, there's Liz's site is secure, so there's HTTPS, and the non-HTTPS, which just HTTP version of her site. So that's 4 versions, with an S, without an S, with the www, without the www. In this version, though, she has a hard redirect to one of those 4. Which one is it? I don't even know.
So it looks like it's the non-www. Secured.
No, it is www. Well, that's what I'm seeing, yeah.
Oh, wait, remind me on my Mac, how do I display the full?
Command L.
Command L, yeah. There it is.
So that is the secure www version of HirschPR, is the main of the 4 that come up, right?
Yes.
So that's great. However, there's also www.hirschpr.com/, let's say, or yours does not have a backslash. A lot of websites do have that backslash at the very end of the .com.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So that's actually a whole separate page that Google looks at. So you've got more than one page, more than the secure version, more than the www version or the non-www version. You've got those versions with a slash, without a slash. They're still going to go to the same page, but those are all viewed as different web pages by Google. And then on top of that, if you add markup to the end, let's say / refer equals email newsletter. These are UTM tags that will link to a past episode we've talked about in the past. So if Liz sends out an email newsletter and you click the link in the email and it goes back to her website, her MailChimp newsletter may be the refer. So again, that's a totally different page in Google's eyes. The HirschPR.com / refer equals MailChimp. That's a totally different website in Google's eyes. And then on top of all that, let's say Liz has a blog post and she puts it on her website, and then she also posts it, or someone else posts it with permission on a different website. These are all duplicate content issues at their core. Google does not like duplicate content. They don't want the exact same blog post. They don't want the exact same information from one web page on a different web page. So how do you resolve all this? And that's through a canonical line of code that tells Google which one is the main one, which one should get all the credit, which one is the original. That's the canonical code. And we'll put an example of this line of code in our show notes, but basically it says rel equals canonical, href equals, and boom, the actual main web page, the secure www version of Liz's page, so that anytime anybody visits her page from either the email newsletter or from Facebook, and it has a string of code that says refer equals Facebook. Again, Google sees that as a different page than HirschPR.com. Well, when it gets there, it'll say, hey, Google, this isn't duplicate content. This should all be attributed to Liz's original secure www version. If Liz publishes a blog post on Medium or on some other website, that site should say Canonical back to HirschPR.com. So this tells Google this is your main version of the original content. I go to websites because I love movies. Let's say a website lists the top 100 shark movies of all time. Every time I do this, I see they'll list number 100 to number 91. You get to the bottom, you click next page. It goes 90 to 81, and it just keeps going page to page. However, a lot of these pages also have at the bottom, if you want to see the full 1 to 100 list on one long web page, click to see the full list. Well, that's a whole different web page. You'll click it and you'll see all 100 of the best shark movies, which Jaws, of course, is still number one in my opinion. But let's say that's duplicate content. You're seeing number 100 to 91 on one page, number 90 to 81 on a different page, and then suddenly you have a whole page with that lists all the top 100. That's all duplicate content in Google's eyes, and you could be penalized, but instead you could put on number 90 to 81 on each of those separate pages. You can put Canonical is our main one listing all 100 pages. Hey Google, this is not duplicate content. We're just breaking it down so people don't have to scroll as much. Our main page, the one we want to give all the credit, is the big list with all 100 over there. But most people don't want to scroll through 100 movies to get to the bottom. That's one example, another example of a way to use Canonical. Another way is if you have a store, let's say Hirsch PR is selling shoes someday, maybe.
Maybe.
It'd be HirschPR.com/black-shoes/size 10. Or it would be HirschPR.com/size 10/black shoes. It's the exact same content. It's just a different way to get there. You got to pick one of those and make it the Canonical version.
So I'm going to jump in with a couple quick comments because I think you've touched on some really important things, and I want to maybe also put them in perspective for those of us who are marketing agencies or consultants. When you tell a client, oh, by the way, there are at least four versions of your website out there, they're kind of blown away. They're like, wait, what do you mean? This is one of the early things that we, depending on, when you start working with a client and how much they've done in this space, this might be one of the early things that you need to fix. Like in my mind, this is kind of month one. You have a checklist of basic things that you need to get done. This is often one of them. This being everything redirects or merges to one version of the page. I also think it's interesting when you're talking with other agencies or consultants and they start to say, oh, yes, we do SEO too. And perhaps they're just speaking to things like keywords and title tags and meta descriptions. And yes, absolutely, those things matter. They're very important. But if you dig a little bit deeper and they can't really speak to canonical links, they probably don't know what they're doing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I use the word merge. I should have used it earlier. But basically, that's what Canonical Links does. It merges every version from a search engine's perspective into one version of the page you want to rank. And one final, and probably not final, but one other way that I can think of off the top of my head to use Canonical Links is for multi-language websites. When you're in Europe, at the top of their web pages, there's a picture of the UK flag or of the Spanish flag or the French flag, and you'll get the page in French, in Spanish, or in English, right? Well, again, Google looks at those as duplicate content. You'll want to use a canonical version to get the main juice, the Google juice, let's say, the English version or the French version or the Spanish version. So that's another way to use canonical tags. Which one is the main one, the English one, the French one, the Spanish one, whichever one you want. You want one of them to rank on your Google pages, on your Google search engines. Use the canonical tag to tell Google which version is the main one. But that's another way. Yeah, that's another way to use canonical tags.
Yeah. Now, can you clarify, this is a once and done thing? It is something that is ongoing?
It's one and done. You put it on your main page, each page. Yeah, it's just a one and done thing. And actually, I'm looking on hirschpr.com, and yours is very good.
Good.
If you use the Yoast plugin, they do it automatically for you. So it's pretty awesome. Another reason I love Yoast. But I see under your Yoast plugin code on your webpage, you've got link, rel, canonical, and the main version.
Good.
So it's all set. So you're good to go. So a lot of plugins do this for you already. One problem is multiple canonical tags. So some plugins, if you use 2 SEO plugins, they'll create 2 canonical tags on there, and Google hates that. You should only have 1 per page. So that is one problem. So that's something to check. Maybe turn it off in one of your plugins, but you've only got 1 on your page, and that's good to go.
Good. Yeah, I've always used Yoast, and I'm very mindful to not install and activate plugins just because, if there's no purpose or if they're duplicative of what's already on the site. I try to avoid that.
Yeah, and if you tune into our next episode, Liz is going to talk about plugins, and she'll discuss best methods for installing plugins and testing them.
There is a whole process behind it, so stay tuned for that episode.
Correct. If you have any questions on canonical tags, shoot us an email. But really, yeah, so bottom line, don't worry about them too much. Just know what they are. Most websites are set up just fine. But if somebody tries to impress you with their, is your website canonical? Or is everything set up right? Chances are it is. Most modern versions of WordPress are all set up just fine. I mainly wanted to teach you what it was, why they're important, and that they're pretty common nowadays. And you really don't have to do much to your website to make sure they're set up properly.
Definitely. All right. Well, good. Thank you for this background info and providing clarification on what all of this means and why it matters. That wraps up today's episode. You can find us on, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can listen to our episodes on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Send us some love. Leave us a review on iTunes. We'd be so appreciative of that. And as always, send us your questions and comments, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.